program. If we can get folks to take their seats. Also, Eduardo, would you close these doors here? Both on these doors as well as the next. And see, and Lolly just noticed that we've got the Bank of America table here that we can use also. Good afternoon. My name is Mickey Ibarra. I'm the chairman of the Latino Leaders Network, and on behalf of our board of directors, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the 47th event of the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series. This is our first time, of course, in Cleveland. We're delighted to be here. I'm so pleased that I had the opportunity a month ago to host a local Latino leader luncheon where we invited Jose Feliciano Sr., who's making a great entrance right now. I thought the same thing. Jose Feliciano, finally I get the chance to meet. We had over 54 Ohio Latino leaders respond to our invitation. So thank you, Jose, and thank you to Jose Feliciano Jr., who's also in the audience from our local area leadership. We have a Bank of America table right over here. I'd like to get it filled up, okay? So please, come right over. The creation of this series in 2004, the very first in Boston, was really an attempt to create a very unique platform for our national leaders to share their personal stories of obstacles overcome to achieve success. What I realized some time ago, the power of our personal stories and the importance of sharing them with each other. Our stories unite us. They motivate us, and they remind us of our responsibility to be good to each other. Others may try to tear us down. Our responsibility to each other is to build each other up, and that's what we do at the Latino Leaders Network. I want to welcome our two honorees to the room. So delighted to have former Ambassador Gaddi Vasquez with us, as well as Rudy Beserra. I also want to welcome our live stream viewers who are watching us across the nation, but also around the world. You'd be amazed at the messages we receive outside of the country as well. At this time, a Cleveland area leader, Pastor Christian Omar Medina, president of the United Hispanic Pastors Fraternity, will offer the invocation and bless our food. Pastor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to ask you to please bow your heads, close your eyes as we come to the Lord in prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, Creator, Governor, and Preserver of all things, as we come before your holy presence today, we humbly ask you that you will help us to be the leaders that you want us to be. Leaders who lead by example. Leaders who, through our character, faithfulness, will inspire others to also do the same. I ask that you will help us to be leaders who are instrumental in leading others out of their darkness hopelessness, and despair, and help bring them into the light, that we may be instrumental in leading others through their trials and storms of life and into a place of safety. I ask, Lord, that as leaders, we may always be mindful that it is always better to give than to receive, and that the greatest privilege of being a leader is not simply to lead, but to serve. May we find meaningful ways to serve others, and we may always stay humble to allow others to guide us and to serve us in our times of need as well. We ask that you bless this food and that you bless our time here together on this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Medina. Now, we're going to be bringing out the main course in about 10 minutes, but please begin with your salads. The mission of the Latino Leaders Network is bringing leaders together. And while every guest in this room, I believe this, every guest in this room is special and important. There are a few that have joined us that I do want to acknowledge from the podium, and starting with my board of directors. We have two of our members with us today. We have Ruben Alvarez of Phoenix here at the Anheuser-Busch table. And we also have my brother David Ibarra of Salt Lake City here with us, the Southwest. We're joined by several elected officials, including State Senator Gene Fuller of California. Senator, right here. Thank you. You would have no way of knowing this, Senator, but I actually attended high school in Sacramento. Luther Burbank, home of the mighty Titans. And also State Representative Dan Ramos of Indiana. Representative Ramos, Ohio, excuse me. Dan Ramos of Ohio, thank you. Also, I saw her earlier, President Susana Duarte de Suarez of Zionsville Town Council is with us. Yes. I mentioned his name, I will again, but Commissioner Jose Feliciano Jr. is here with us. That's his father, Jose Sr. And we also are so delighted that we're joined by the fire chief of the city of Cleveland. Has his hands full today, but is with us nonetheless, Angelo Calvillo. Also, some of our important community leaders are here with us today. We'll hear from Hector Barreto in a minute, but I wanted to acknowledge him, and along with Alan Gutierrez from the Latino Coalition. Thank you. Also, the President and CEO of the National Council La Raza and her board chair, Janet Murguia. And also, Renata Soto. And next to Janet, we have the president of LULAC, who some of you may have been in attendance last week in Washington at their national convention, Roger Rocha. And a new member of our leadership team in Washington, D.C. from California, Dominica Lynch, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. Also earlier I saw Jenny Korn with the National Republican Party who's with us. Jenny? Yeah, thank you. Also Mary Ann Gomez, the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. Mary Ann? And also Jesus Sanchez, the Director of Programs at Esperanza here in the local area. Here he is, right out here. I also am so delighted to acknowledge a former appointed official, actually the successor at the White House for President Bush, Ruben Barales, the former Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. Ruben? There you go. It was just a wonderful moment. If you don't mind, Ruben, I'll share. After leaving the White House, it was June of 2001. It was the NALEO, the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, conference in San Jose. I leave the White House on exactly noon, January 20th of 2001, and there I am in San Jose in June to receive the first ever President's Award at NALEO. And as luck would have it, the next speaker was Ruben Barales, the new Director of Intergovernmental Affairs. And I thought, as Ruben and I stood side by side on that podium, it made me feel so terrific knowing that another Latino was at the White House, regardless of who the president is. And that's an accomplishment. And now, a word from our sponsor. The Latino Leaders Luncheon Series is made possible by the generous support of our corporate partners. And among the very best is the Anheuser-Busch Foundation, our premier sponsor of today's luncheon in Cleveland. Representing the Anheuser-Busch Foundation today is Melissa Amalexon, Director of Government Affairs. Melissa?
All right, well, at Anheuser-Busch, our dream is to be the best beer company, bringing people together for a better world. And coincidentally, it's a very similar mission statement that you have here at the Latino Leaders Network, minus the beer part, but very similar, right, Mickey? So it makes us perfect allies, perfect partners to join together in honoring two men today, two men that are making a difference in their community, that are leaders, that are selfless, and quite frankly, in our world today, we need more people like you. So we're going to hear a lot of long speeches this week, so I'm going to cut mine short, and I'm just going to say thank you. We're honored to be a sponsor, and I'm proud to be here. Thank you very much.
Edison International is serving as the event co-sponsor today. I want to thank Gaddi Vasquez, Senior Vice President of Government Affairs, for their long-standing support of the Latino Leaders Network. Thank you, Gaddi. And we're going to hear more from Gaddi here in just a bit. Many of you attended the network reception next door here with Dr. Ben Carson. This reception, the network reception, was sponsored by Geico. I'm so delighted that we are joined today by Rinthia Rost, Vice President of Public Affairs for Geico. Thank you, Rinthia. Also want to acknowledge and thank Southwest Airlines, the official airlines of the Latino Leaders Network. Lydia Martinez was not able to join us, but thank you, Southwest Airlines. I'm sure she's viewing right now, so thank you. Also want to thank Angie Lathrop for her support, and Bank of America for being a VIP table sponsor today as well. Thank you very much. Please now join me in thanking all of our sponsors. We're now going to break the program so our servers can deliver the main course and all of you can visit a bit more. But please, you can see the room is a little tight. If you're able to maintain your seats, that really helps our servers get their job done. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you so much. There are two leaders that I also want to recognize that have joined us. Representative Eric Esteves from the great state of New Hampshire. Representative, right here. And also another former official that's with us, Tovita Coraza, the former deputy administrator of SBA. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. It is now my high honor to present Senator Orrin Hatch, the most senior Republican member of the United States Senate, and also from my home state of Utah. He will introduce our first honoree. Before presenting him, however, please allow me a point of personal privilege to thank Senator Hatch for his friendship over my 32 years in our nation's capital. Also for his partnership to ensure the success of the 2002 Winter Olympic Games in Salt Lake City, where I worked from my White House position. And also to thank him for his support of the Latino and small business community. My brother David, who's been presented, can attest to that. We are small business owners, and Senator Hatch is a champion of our community. Thank you, Senator. Please welcome Senator Orrin Hatch. Let's give it up for the senator.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Mickey. I sure appreciate being with you. Thank you for that kind introduction. You know, Mickey and I have known each other a long time. We worked together on the 2002 Salt Lake Olympic Games, which were a great success. Several years later, we shared the stage to receive honorary doctorates from the University of Utah. I suppose that means I should call you Dr. Beserra. In fact, I think I will. It's great to see you again, my friend. I appreciate you. I'd also like to thank everyone who's helped put this event together. I applaud the work the Latino Leaders Network does around the country in bringing people together and providing a platform for Latino leaders to share their success stories. Back in 1987, I formed the Republican Task Force on Hispanic Affairs to help educate senators on issues that affect Hispanics in our country, in our communities. I thought then, as I do now, that it's incredibly important to reach out to the Hispanic community to ensure that all voices in our nation are being heard. We reactivated the task force last year, and my hope is that it will continue to promote and encourage greater collaboration between the Hispanic community and all of our Republican leaders. Pundits like to talk about the efforts both sides make to woo Hispanic voters. I've always thought it's more important, however, to listen to our Hispanic brothers and sisters, to learn what's most important to them so that we can encourage them, all of you, to participate in our party. Now that's the main purpose of our Republican Task Force on Hispanic Affairs. Now don't get me wrong, I also believe the Republican Party has a lot to offer Hispanic voters in terms of policy. Indeed, I've long made the case to the Hispanic community that the principles the Republican Party stands for are a natural fit. Republicans champion free enterprise and strong families. We want to help all people succeed, better their state. And we want to help them to succeed by giving them the opportunity to improve their circumstances through their own determination and hard work, and with a little help up by some of us. That's one reason I've long been a champion of reforming our nation's broken immigration laws. There are a lot of people in our country, some of whom came here legally, some of whom did not, who are kept in poverty because we don't have a sensible process for integrating them into our society. Immigration is a difficult and politically fraught issue. But one thing is clear. We need a better system for ensuring that those who have the drive and the determination to succeed and who abide by our laws are able to do so. I will never cast aspersions on anyone because of where they came from, if they are honest, hardworking, law-abiding persons who are trying to do what's right for themselves and their family. And despite what you may see on TV, I can assure you that the vast, vast majority of Republicans feel the same way. I'm happy to be here today, and I hope that you will continue to reach out to me and my staff and to the task force. We're open for all of that. Now today, and let me just say that Ana Cabral went on to become Treasurer of the United States of America. She went right to my Judicial Committee. Her husband, Victor, is a highly successful government affairs expert in Washington, D.C., who worked with me as well. And I have to say, Ana and Victor are two of my closest friends on this earth. Celebrate, recognize two great leaders. The first is Rudy Beserra, who serves on the board of our task force. The other is the man I'm here to introduce, the Honorable Gaddi Vasquez. Gaddi was born in Texas but grew up in California as the son of migrant workers. He's a truly remarkable embodiment of the American dream. He was the first in his family, like I was in mine, to graduate from college, and began his career protecting the good people of Orange County, California, as a police officer. Gaddi went on to become the first person of Hispanic ancestry to head the Peace Corps, where he recruited the highest percentage of minority volunteers in that organization's history, and worked to improve the safety and security of Peace Corps volunteers. That wasn't enough for him. He then became the U.S. ambassador to the UN agencies for food and agriculture, where he worked to reduce poverty and make agriculture more productive. Both of these appointments were made by President George W. Bush, and I'm happy to be here today to honor Gaddi with the Eagle Leadership Award. So congratulations, Mr. Vasquez. This award, in my opinion, is well-deserved. We all love you. We're proud of you. And we expect you to do even more things in the future. So God bless you. And we're glad to be here.
Thank you very much, Senator Hatch. I want to say right off the top that it is my strong opinion and belief that Senator Orrin Hatch is a Latino at heart. And I say so because in the early years, when not many were paying attention to the issues of importance to Latinos in America, Senator Hatch formed the task force that Ana Cabral headed as a professional and executive on his behalf. And it was through that task force, that Hispanic task force, that many, many important conversations began. And it did so because Senator Hatch established the foundational work that has brought us to this day. And I will tell you that as someone who has admired Senator Hatch for many, many, many years, and who I also want to publicly thank for voting in support of my confirmation on 2 occasions. I thank you for that, Senator, as well. I thank you very much. I want to thank the Latino Leaders Network and its energetic and tireless leader and founder, Mickey Ibarra. And to all of my friends who are here from California, I say thank you for being here on this occasion. I know that attending these events during political conventions is an experience as you move through the security maze and all the barriers and obstacles that are before you. And to my friend Rudy Beserra, with whom we have traveled many, many miles over decades. One, I thank the good Lord, we're both still here. But secondly, I could not have had a better colleague, friend, and partner as we have traveled through many, many different journeys in our both public and private careers. And it's a pleasure to be able to share this very, very special day with Rudy Beserra. There are many things that I would like to say today, but I have been given an allotment of time, and it is brief. But I can't speak today in accepting this award without making reference to the events of the past 7 days. My heart goes out, as I suspect yours do as well, to the families of the law enforcement officers who have lost their lives, and to the other officers in other parts of the United States who today are recovering from wounds from shootings and assaults. Because as Senator Hatch mentioned, I began my public service career as a police officer. I know what it is to put on a badge and to wear a gun on your hip, to leave the back lot of a police department and hope and pray that you returned at the end of watch to go home to your family. So I am familiar with the perils of police work in America. But I also know of the great responsibility to administer and enforce the laws in a way that gives communities a sense of bonding with their local police and the mutual trust that must exist in our communities. We must stand together in a spirit of peace and pray for the healing that needs to occur in this hour of need. We must never, ever, ever allow violence and anger to overtake us. In 1987, when I first served in my first elected office, I was excited. I was enthused at the prospects of Latino political empowerment, even though there weren't very many of us back then. People back then said Latinos were the sleeping giant, and others referred to the 80s as the decade of the Hispanic, which always sort of amused me because it sort of like set a definitive timeline that we had a decade, and if we didn't, well, then that was it. But ladies and gentlemen, we've gone way beyond the 80s, because today we have improved and advanced and grown the number of elected officials of Latino origin by leaps and bounds. Anytime you hear of a state representative from the state of Rhode Island, not a state you typically think of as Latino, you know you're making progress. Arrived yet at the place. As leaders, we must engage and promote civic engagement in the Latino community. But we must take ownership, and we must seek to build a political platform for the future. We should encourage and press greater civic engagement in all of our communities. So I encourage you to stand, believe in, but also recognize that the ballot box is the equalizer that balances the voices of influence in our democracy. In all of my years, I have never been more concerned for my country. We are living in perilous times, and the threats at home and abroad pose unprecedented challenges that our leaders will and must confront. But I remain very confident that our strong sense of purpose and commitment to each other will help us overcome the challenges before us. A few years ago, a friend of mine called and said, "Gaddi, come on over to my place and let's have lunch. My godmother happens to be in town." Great. Drove over to my friend's business, walked into a room with 6 chairs. I looked across the table and my eyes came in contact with a petite, small woman. Much to my surprise, my friend's godmother was Rosa Parks. And for the next 2 hours, I sat across the table from Rosa Parks, mesmerized, just watching and listening and observing. And the greatest takeaway of that moment in time in my life from Rosa Parks and my meeting with Rosa Parks was that you don't have to be the tallest in the room or in the country, because she was small and petite. And you don't have to have the loudest voice in the room or in the community, but she was effective, and she had a deep and profound sense of purpose in her heart. And when those elements can come together, you can indeed change the course of history, as Rosa Parks taught us. Like many of you, I was born into poverty as a child of migrant farm workers. I lived through periods of hunger and food insecurity. But we never lost our sense of direction, and we never yielded to the plight of poverty. So it was a privilege to be able to serve as a United States ambassador, leading the fight against poverty, disease, and hunger in the world. And I led the Peace Corps, which is comprised of Americans who serve overseas in far and distant lands with a purpose of promoting peace, friendship, and understanding between Americans and the people in those host countries. As the first Latino to lead the Peace Corps in its history, I was proud to lead thousands of Americans serving across the face of the earth. And the best part about the Peace Corps volunteers, they were determined and believed that you could still impact the world, one town, one village, one community at a time. And I'm pleased to tell you that this year, 25,000 Americans applied to serve in the Peace Corps. That's the power of people making a difference. They answered the call and said, as I close my remarks, and again, thanks for this opportunity, I quote President Ronald Reagan, who once said, "I know in my heart that man is good, that what is right will always eventually triumph, and there's purpose and worth to each and every life." Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to join me in resolving to build better and stronger communities, and resolve to leave our children an inheritance that is built on love, respect, and equality for all. It is the greatest inheritance that we can leave them after we have left the bounds of earth. And I leave you with this biblical thought from 2 Chronicles 7 and 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Thank you for this honor. It is a high privilege. Thank you.
Ambassador Vasquez, on behalf of the Latino Leaders Network, I present our Eagle Leadership Award and congratulate you and thank you for your service to your community and to your country. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruben and David also. Now for our second honoree. And again, let's give Senator Hatch another thank you for showing up. The Honorable Hector Barreto, Chairman of the Latino Coalition, served with distinction for 5 years as the Administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration for President Bush, having been unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate, including Senator Hatch, on July 25th, 2001. Hector currently serves as a member of the Board of the United States Chamber of Commerce and is also a member of the Minority Business Hall of Fame. A longtime friend of the next recipient of the Eagle Leadership Award, please welcome the Honorable Hector Barreto to the podium for the introduction.
Muchas gracias, Mickey. And I really want to also echo some of the comments that have made already. You know, we're very lucky that we have somebody like Mickey Barra helping to lead our country. I was telling him yesterday, I remember when I went into the White House, one of the people that I met during the Bush administration was Mickey Ibarra, and that big infectious smile, and he said, anything I can do for you, any way I can help you. And that's what's in his heart, and that's what he continues to do with these events. Let's give Mickey another round of applause. So today, I'm here with the privilege of recognizing and acknowledging our next honoree. And of course, for many of us, he's no stranger. Of course, he's our friend, Rudy Beserra. Now, many of you know him by his resume. Senior Vice President for Latin Affairs of Coca-Cola. He also came from modest roots in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's very proud of being from New Mexico, and he makes sure that all of us remember how special that enchanted state is. You know, he began his career at Coke after serving in the White House in 1989, where he was a special assistant to President Ronald Reagan and small business affairs. I remember meeting Rudy many years ago. My father had taken me to the White House, and he introduced me to this very important man named Rudy Beserra. And my father was of Rudy, had a big office in the old executive office building, this great portfolio, and he's continued leading in everything that he's done. Many of you know he was a founding member of the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute, or Chile, as he serves on the board also of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. In the past, Rudy has also served as the chairman of a very important organization for our community, the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. Now, I have to tell you, I've known Rudy for almost 30 years, I think more than 30 years, and I remember so distinctly his great career at the White House. I also give him credit for helping my father with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. During President Reagan's turn and Rudy's responsibilities, the chamber really took off. Yesterday he was reminding me, and when he was telling me this, I was thinking, gosh, this sounds like a movie that I saw once, Forrest Gump, where somebody's always at the right place at the right time. But that was Rudy. Rudy helped get Ronald Reagan to the first Hispanic convention where a president of the United States spoke. That was 1983 in Tampa, when Rudy was at the RNC. Rudy was there when my father met with Ronald Reagan. It was covered in Time magazine. It's a story that I tell often called the Stew Pot story. Very pivotal time in my father's career in life. He was there when the first Hispanic was in the cabinet of Ronald Reagan. A lot of people forget those things. We should remember that. He was also instrumental in helping the vice president who became the president, George Herbert Walker Bush, and later George W. Bush. And I tell you that because as I look around the room, there's so much leadership here. Everybody in this room is a leader. Everybody has made their own contributions. But it takes people like Rudy Beserra, who behind the scenes is helping to make the show go on. That's what Rudy does. He's honored many people in his career, and it's only right that we honor him. You know, I'm reminded of an old Chinese proverb, and that is, we must always honor the man that dug the well of the sweet water that we drink from today. For me, Rudy Beserra is one of those people that dug that well. Please join me in acknowledging our friend and the next honoree, Rudy Beserra. Please.
Thank you very much. I've never been told I'm the Latino Forrest Gump. You know? Thank you, Hector. You know, just following Gaddi Vasquez, you know, ambassador, Peace Corps, county supervisor, and me, soft drink salesman. I mean, I feel like being asked to be the captain of the next Titanic. Wait till it starts sinking, you know. But Gaddi, I mean, following you is just a great honor. It's a great honor to be here, here in Cleveland, Ohio, with such a distinguished group of business executives and community leaders. It's a special pleasure to be introduced by Hector Barreto Jr. He mentioned the fact that his father brought him to the White House to visit me many years ago. In fact, Hector was a teenager. In fact, I think he still had braces. But I mentioned that because, you know, his father was president, CEO, and chairman of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and he was so proud of his son, and he wanted me to meet him. And I bring that up because Hector not only has grown up to be an incredibly successful young man, but he's become a leader of our community. Hector, we're so proud of you. Continue to make us proud. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's also a pleasure to be here with Ambassador Gaddi Vasquez. The first time I met Gaddi, he was almost 20 years ago. He was a county supervisor, Orange County. And when I visited him in California, I was so impressed because this young man had an incredible responsibility. He was heading and running a large municipality. And I think I won him over when actually he won me over, when he casually mentioned that Coca-Cola was his favorite drink. Well, you know, I heard back from him, and he goes, Rudy, he goes, I just got a mysterious package delivered to my office. It's a case of Coca-Cola and a cooler, and it's right here in my office. I think that's when I won him over. Mr. Ambassador, we're so lucky to have you as the leader that you are, and at Coca-Cola, we appreciate your loyalty. I'm also particularly happy to have my Coca-Cola family members, my Coca-Cola associates that are here. Thank you for being here. I also like to acknowledge the sponsors, Anheuser-Busch, Edison International, and Geico. Thank you for your sponsorship. Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Hispanic Leaders Luncheon. And the day Mickey and I first started talking about this luncheon series, it became immediately clear to both of us that we shared a shared vision who could transcend ethnic and work together for the common good. Had this very special and unique Bettina. You are White House is a very good job. Working in the White House with a in Boston, the Coke, along with Verizon, were the first sponsors. And our good friend Emilio Gonzalez made that happen. Who would have thought that 12 years later, how things have changed, some for good and some not. Thanks to the network, everybody here today, Latinos are making a big difference. One thing for sure, Latinos in both parties will not be taken for granted. This week, Hector Barreto and the Latino Coalition will be leading that charge. And Hector, you can count on us to help you get that done. Thank you for your leadership. After attending Latino leaders' luncheons in the past, many of the speakers have focused the remarks on personal obstacles and things that they had to overcome. My success, for whatever that means, is really doesn't involve any significant obstacles. I attribute my advantages in the success to have been very blessed to have grown up in New Mexico, as it was mentioned earlier, blessed with a wonderful mother and father, and an older brother, Frank, who was my role model and mentor. In fact, those of us who grew up and lived in New Mexico know that we are blessed with the best of both worlds, a traditional multicultural community with Hispanics, African Americans, Anglos, and Native Americans, all for the common good. We take pride in our diverse history, culture, and heritage, a heritage that goes back to the 16th and 17th century, way before the founding of Plymouth Rock. Can you believe that? Hispanic tradition has always emphasized the importance of family. In our culture, family is the core of life. A tradition of patriotism and loving our country, but never forgetting our roots. In New Mexico, we have long had extensive history of Hispanics holding elected and appointed level positions, both in the local, state, and federal government. In fact, the very first Latina to be elected governor of any state in the U.S., our own Governor Susana Martinez. We're really proud of her. My family's been involved in New Mexico politics for generations. My father, Frank Sr., was precinct chairman in Albuquerque, and he was very instrumental in helping elect Senator Pete Domenici way back in 1973. My brother Frank was the youngest executive director for the Office of Civil Rights in 1975 for the state of New Mexico. He went on to serve in high-level government and in 3 different presidential administrations. Much of my personal success is derived from the fact that throughout my career, I have had the pleasure of working with bright, intelligent, highly motivated individuals, many of them here today. 2 major advantages that I had during my career was a privilege of working with 2 of the most outstanding individuals in politics and the private sector in the history of this country. I had the privilege of working for President Ronald Reagan, recognized today as one of the most popular, inspirational political figures in modern time. President Reagan was a charismatic leader who had a clear vision of what he wanted to accomplish as president. He always stayed focused and never deviated from his mission. Less government, no new taxes, a strong civil defense, and a balanced budget. Well, we never were able to balance the budget, but to be able to accomplish the other 3 was quite an accomplishment. And as it turns out in government, 3 out of 4 is not bad. I was also very proud to have been recruited by the Coca-Cola Company by our former chairman and CEO, Roberto Gosueta. If not the first, certainly one of the first Hispanics to head a Fortune 500 company. To pay homage to the life of this great man, I would like to share with you some of Mr. Gosueta's personal attributes and business ideas. Mr. Gosueta was a visionary, a leader who incorporated intelligence, loyalty, and integrity in everything he did. He believed that a company must have a heart and it must have a soul. Mr. Gosueta had a true global vision, and he often emphasized the importance of Coca-Cola to become part of the economic fabric of communities in which we serve and do business. He understood the importance for us to support the local economies, and I sincerely hope that each and every one of you will have the opportunity one day to work with such inspirational leaders as I have. I would like to conclude my remarks today by pointing out that everyone has a book. It's Mickeyisms. 30 Mickeyisms for success. There's one, it's Mickeyism number 27, that I think really goes to the heart and soul of Mickey and I in our relationship. It's Mickeyism 27, which is friendship. Issues come and go. Friendship remain in place for a lifetime, and that's us, Mickey. We'll be friends for a lifetime. The Latino Leaders Network has always stood for optimism, diversity, and inclusion. Like the Coca-Cola Company, deep in our heritage is commitment to bringing people and communities together to find a common ground. In fact, last week, the Coca-Cola Company published a full-page ad in the USA Today and on our digital and social networks declaring this commitment. And I have it right here. I had it here. But it basically said, "We live as many and we stand as one. We live as many and we stand as one." Thank you very much for being here. Truly is an honor. I'm humbled for this great recognition, and thank you for all my friends for being here. Muchísimas gracias.
Rudy Beserra, on behalf of the Latino Leaders Network, it's my honor to present you with our Eagle Leadership Award for your contributions to our community and our country. Rudy, congratulations. Now, if you'll just allow me, we're way early. We're going to do a great job of getting you out of here on time, actually early. Just a couple of announcements. First, 2016 calendar. In addition to the Latino Leaders Luncheon series that will convene in Philadelphia next week on July 26th, we will close the 12th season of the series this year in Los Angeles on October 6th. So those of you that are interested, please come and join us at the California Project. Rudy was kind enough to mention the Mickeyisms that I'm very excited about. Publish the title Latino Leaders, and the primary be the 50th event of the series next spring. So we ask you to look forward. You know, we have heroes. Our Latino community has so many heroes. Everyone in this room is a hero. It's so important for us to help others, and all children can learn from. I want to thank our event team, as you all know. I want to thank Jennifer Bonilla, who's event coordinator, and my entire team from the Ibarra. I also agreed to make an announcement about the National Hispanic Agenda, who will policy briefing tomorrow from noon to 1:30. Close by here, it's 200 Public Square, Suite 2800.